Hallucination is the expression of neurotic pain, is the expression of neurotic pain, is the expression of neurotic pain. And it's a wipeout, and it's a wipeout, and it's a wipeout, and you love, and you love, and you love him, and you love him, and you love him, and every second is being cut by razor blades, and every second is being cut by razor blades, and every second is being cut by razor blades, and you are dislocated by anxiety, and you are dislocated, and you are dislocated by anxiety, and totally lost, and 60 mile an hour winds carried the oil, escaping freely from the tanker, escaping freely from the tanker, across the bay toward the shore, and murderers, you're only happy when you can kill somebody, you're only happy when you can kill somebody, you're only happy when you can see somebody die, and it's like they stick a needle in your arm, and they hook it up to a vacuum cleaner, and they hook it up to a vacuum cleaner, and they hook it up to a vacuum cleaner, and they suck everything out, and they suck everything out, and I want to pay what I owe, or they should leave me alone, And an angry crowd forcibly carried away a body from the local morgue, and later left it in a hospital, demanding a fresh autopsy. And it's one of those sun-bleached towns, on the west coast of Florida, Sylvania citrus stands that sold rubber alligators, and t-shirts that said Stewart, sailfish capital of the world, and around the castle are the 8 graveyards, and around the castle are the 8 graveyards, and an ocean of blood, reminding of the impermanence of all phenomena, And shown here are bacon and eggs, that are overcooked on the bottom, and undercooked on top, And don't touch me, get your hands off me, get out of here. And he is afraid to give up this security, and entertainment, afraid to venture out into the unknown world, of open space. Yet it leans into turns for smooth cornering, and his body quivered, and the flow continued for a few moments, and then it subsided, and then it ended, and we lay quietly together, and he returns to his bleak, furnished San Francisco apartment, which is protected by 4 locks, on the front door, developing his own special clutch, of anxieties, which makes everything else a little more difficult, And it's a place where one stopped, only if you were hungry, or needed gasoline, or to eat a hamburger, And encircled by a ring of skulls, and lotus petals, encircled by a ring of skulls and lotus petals, inscribed with seed syllables, is a wrathful deity, with 6 arms, the cosmic father, locked in union with his naked Yum, void of illusions. And when you do something, you should burn yourself completely, like a good bonfire, leaving no trace of yourself, And you realize and you realize and you realize that you no longer have to abandon, you no longer have to abandon anything, you no longer have to abandon anything. And we looked into each other's eyes, and we looked into each other's eyes and smiled and smiled and smiled. And the more and more and the more and more and the more and more and the more and more, everything that's supposed to happen to you, that's supposed to happen to you, that's supposed to happen to you, happens automatically. And warning of a great crash, of a great crash that will wipe out, all paper money, and stock values, And Highway 46 in New Jersey, is littered with gasoline stations, on both sides of the divided road, they're carrying flapping symbols of the oil industry, like United Nations flags at the World's Fair, And you look at this chicken, in vegetable entree, plump with its natural juices, and laden with flavor, And in order to penetrate this barrier, a sudden jolt was needed, a shot which was not artificial,